Guys, what's going on? I don't know if anybody else with an Infiniti or a Nissan, especially with the 3.7 motor, has came across this issue. But sometimes like your radiator reservoir might be, well, not the radiator, but the reservoir might be empty. And your car may or may not be overheating yet, but what could be the problem is the radiator hose connector might be going bad. So right here you can actually see like dried up antifreeze coolant on this hose right here. And what the problem is, these hoses are actually still cool, but the connectors start going bad, especially around like 70-80,000 miles in these cars. So I'm going to attempt to replace that rather. I just got the parts in. And the tools that you're going to need for that is, of course, you're going to need your coolant. You're going to need some hose clamp pliers. I got two variations of them. These particular ones, they got like a swivel head on there. So this head right here actually swivels, so you can get a good grip on that hose clamp, because those hose clamps are a bitch. Sometimes you can't even use regular pliers for them. I got another one right here. These hose pliers, these come in super clutch right here. So it's actually got a connector cable on to where when you compress this, when you squeeze this actually squeezes in too. And it's got a locking mechanism on there too. So once you squeeze it, it'll actually stay like that. And it's got an easy release lever right there too. Same thing for this one too. This is the release lever for it right here. So that comes in handy. You're also gonna need a flathead screwdriver and a 10mm socket. Whether you got a wrench, a drill, or whatever. First thing you want to do is you want to remove this engine cover. That's where your 10mm socket is going to come in. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that you got to unscrew. You know this real quick. Good luck, dog. So you want to remove this engine cover. You don't necessarily have to, but it's going to give you easier access to get back to that hose back there. Also, you're going to have to remove this shroud right here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bumper clips that you got to remove. And you want to remove this because you get to your reservoir and you see how this reservoir is empty. That's because the coolant is still going into the engine, but that heater hose that's back there that actually goes to that provides the heat to the inside of the car, that's what's that leak. That's what causing this empty all the time. And another way that you can tell that is once you actually open up the radiator, look in there real quick, you can see that it's still coolant in there. So this hose right here, this is actually cool. This is intact. There's no leak, no swelling in the hose. So you can tell that this is still cool, which is good because you don't want your engine to overheat and potentially to seize up. All right, so right now we're gonna try to get this hose clamped off. So we're gonna see what these do real quick. Also, this is the actual part that we're replacing. This is the heater hose connector that's in between both of the hoses. All right, so come around here real quick, y'all. So I don't know if you can see real good. Like, see if you can get in here real quick. Yeah, yup. So this is what we're going to be replacing. You see where all that blue coolant is at? That's what we're going to be replacing. Connect the tube inside of that. So, it's going to be, let me see real quick. Thanks. So those two clamps right there, we got to remove those two clamps. We got to remove the heater hose connector that's inside of it that I just showed you guys. The OEM one that they use is plastic. The one that we're going to be using now is aluminum. So that's better for heat and just everything else, just wear and tear. So I'm gonna turn the camera back on once we replace that, and I'm gonna show y'all the final product. All right, so I was able to get that hose connector back on. Trust me, when you're working on this, you are absolutely gonna need some of these hose clamp pliers, because those hose clamps are a bitch to get off. They are an absolute bitch. Also, if you, so me and my son actually had to help me, because this shit was crazy. So if you get to the point where one of the hose clamps can actually slide down, what you can do is the plastic connector that's inside of it that you're trying to access, you can actually get a pair of pliers and you can crack it. You can crack the connector that's inside of that and just pick out all the pieces from each hose, from each side of the hoses, and then you can put your new one in there. So definitely when you do that, the company that I bought these from on Amazon, they actually gave me 2 of them. So this is the extra hose clamp that I got. I mean hose connector that I got. And when you get these, what you want to do is you want to make sure you get the ones that have the lip on each side. This is the middle piece that's going to be in between both of the hoses, and you want to make sure that you get the ones that have the lips on each side. All right. So what I did is I filled up my reservoir back up to the max level. And we topped off our radiator too. So we good on that. So at this point, basically all you gotta do is throw your radiator, that's your radiator, your engine cover back on. You know what I mean? Drilled on 5 connection parts. Put your shroud back on, and you good to go. Some of these have a self-bleeding system. Some of them you don't have to bleed. The bleeder hose is going to be on the right side of the engine bay. If you do have that for some of these VQs. So that's pretty much it. After that, you can just turn the car back on, let him run for a bit. Make sure you get warm air inside, and just keep an eye on that gauge. Make sure nothing is overheating or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all watching. It's a simple job, but it's so it's such a tight fit back there that it's just hard to access it. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate y'all watching. If any of y'all having trouble with y'all shit, this might be what you can do to rectify it. All right, take it easy. I just wanted to do a little post-install update real quick. What I did is let the car run for about like 10 minutes with the heat on high. So we're just gonna check to see where our temp gauge is at, and it's exactly where it's supposed to be. Like I said, the car was overheating a little bit. Not quite overheating, but that needle was a little bit over the middle section where it's supposed to be. And like I said, we got the heat on. So you see that it's blowing pretty high. And we're just going to check inside the engine bay real quick just to see if we got any leaks or if we smell anything, any coolant. So if we look back here, there might still be some dried up coolant still on there, but we don't have any leaks. And we turned it up last time, that's where everything was different from. So later on, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just hose this off, you know, wipe everything down, you know what I mean, make everything look clean so we don't have any of that dried up coolant on there. So just in case I'm having that issue next time, I'll know that it's not from as of recent. And also, our reservoir is cool, staying at the level where it's supposed to, and it's all good. Also, another tip I forgot to tell y'all: the reservoir, don't be afraid to change that cap in there. It's super cheap and that helps. Not this right here, this is for the radiator. I've also changed this as well. Sometimes the rings on the cap for this and for your reservoir, they start going bad after a while. And what can happen is sometimes that fluid, you don't even necessarily have leaks. Sometimes it evaporates from out of those if they're not sealed correctly. So you don't want to have that issue, right? So once again, I hope this helps anybody that's having that particular issue. And I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace.